within that, within that, it was lost that I never stopped to consider, is this my script or somebody else's script? And I
Exactly.
never stopped to consider and take time to tend to my own well-being and health and emotions. I just lived off the primary emotion of the day. What did everybody else need? How could I take care of that? How could I, and I've been taking care of people since I was 10 years old. I mean, I
Yeah.
was asked a lot of at an early age in a very emotionally volatile family. And even though, and it's interesting because those things stay with
Well,
you. My husband,
Melissa, let me welcome you to the Heroines
yes,
Journey podcast. We're so glad to have you. Melissa Crook is with us today, and she's going to talk. It will be an exciting talk, I can tell already. Isn't it wonderful you do your own podcast? Isn't it wonderful just to have the opportunity to talk with women about subjects that women generally don't talk about because they're in the dark? Like you were saying, we come with a script, and so there are just certain things we haven't put out in the open in our conversation. So I
yeah,
just love it. And let me just frame this by saying that, of course, the heroine's journey, as you know, the heroine's journey, we talk about a cart, maybe even
yeah,
flowers in the bed of your cart. It's that kind of wonderful wood that's patinaed, like from age that gets kind of gray and silvery, and then you load all the flowers, which are your skills, your tools, your talents, into the cart, and then you start to go down the street because you want to take it to market and monetize it, and you look over your shoulder and you're like, oh my gosh, that wheel's loose, and then you look over the other side and you're like, oh, that one fell off. Pretty soon you got your butt dragging on the ground, and you can't push the cart, you can't pull the cart. So, what we're going to talk to Melissa about today, which I'm delighted, is one of the wheels is health. And
mm-hmm.
as you go along the journey, you may find that your big upset is health. And I'm asking Melissa, like, why did you start your podcast? What happened in your life? So take it away, honey, because it's quite a story.
Well, yeah, and before I do that, too many of us get here. And my whole point of starting the podcast is like, we don't have to get to the point I'm going to share with you, but too many of us do. And I have talked to so many women who've had a similar experience. But in the fall of 2019, I ended up in the month I turned 50, I ended up in the ER twice in a 10-day period with racing heartbeats, sky high blood pressure, lightheaded, thought I was having a heart attack, didn't know what was going on, ran all the gamut of tests. We had just moved. This was in Lubbock, Texas. My husband had just taken a job at Texas Tech. We were empty nesters for the first time. I thought, oh, this move will be easy. No schools to find, no nothing, nothing. Well, that was my body's cue, I think, like, all right, sister, time to start paying attention to you. So
Uh-huh.
I make these two trips to the ER. The first time from a hotel room because we hadn't even closed on our house yet. And I was still going back and forth between our home in New York and home in Texas. And the second time around, they sent me to a heart specialist, and the nurse in the ER that day, he whispered in my ear, he goes, "You're not going to hear this from the Covenant Health people here, but I'm going to tell you about a doctor that's a little outside the box that I think is going to really be able to help you."
Wonderful.
And so,
Wonderful.
so he whispered, so he slid me a note, whispered it in my ear. I was like, okay. And my husband and I driving home after they'd gotten everything settled for the second time, I wore the heart monitor thing for a few weeks. My heart was fine. He was like, you've been walking around with this partner of anxiety our entire life together. And I was like, I'm not anxious. There's just a lot to be worried about in the world. And I'm just trying to take care of everything and make sure everybody's okay. What are you talking about? And he goes, that.
As I toned up your voice.
And he's like, it's time. It's time to dive in. It's time to take care of you. It's past time. And I think and so I did. I started therapy. I went to the doctor. I had needed to get some hormone things straightened out. I was in perimenopause, which is a word I'd never even heard before, by the way. And
Uh-huh.
that's a whole other story. But I started unpacking all the unprocessed trauma, all the unprocessed emotions that I had stuffed because there wasn't room for them. I had to take care of everybody else and everything else and everybody, all the things. And a couple of years before this happened, my oldest daughter was home from
So
college one
our
break.
listeners are
Yes,
wondering, our listeners are wondering, what did you go to that doctor and
I did. I did go to that doctor.
and did he have a specialty?
He was a holistic practitioner, and so he didn't just look at the traditional things. He looked at the whole picture, and he was able to help me piece together, along with my therapist, your high blood pressure is connected to these anxiety issues, and if we can get the anxiety managed, then we can bring the blood pressure down and get the heart rate in line. Also, you're perimenopausal, so we've got some hormone things going on. So we're going to do some things to help you get your hormones balanced and your estrogen right. And started helping me put the pieces together of all the things that were happening in my body at one time. And my therapist was like, help me unlock those things. And I'm still in process. I'm still in therapy. I mean, it's, 5.5, I haven't arrived, but I've been on this journey.
Well, just let me tell you that I've had 12 years of it, so you still might have a way to go.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, midlife, what you're saying is that different health issues pop up, different, points of view where your body finally says, let me in here and I'm going to talk for a while. And you're like, no, 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 I don't even want to do that. And your body's like, oh yes, you're going to now. So,
Yeah.
that the crisis or challenge that we talk about in the Heroine's Journey, that was health for you. And it stopped you cold, it was like an onion, peeled you back to the center core so that you had to look at some things that you've been unwilling to look at. And now here we go. And angels show up to help.
They
And
absolutely do.
it sounds like my therapist, but your therapist too, plus this doctor sent you on the road where.
Yeah, I had 1,000% and a very supportive partner who had been nudging me for a long time to do this. And it was just so many and even my daughters. I mean, my oldest daughter was like, at one point she was talking home from a break and talking to me about something, and I started to try and fix it. She goes, Mom, I don't need you to fix it. I got this. I just needed to listen and process it. But it's not your responsibility to fix everything and everybody. I don't want you to feel like you have to. That's not what I'm asking of you. And that was a light bulb moment. And realizing how codependent and enmeshed some of my relationships were. And so then unpacking that and the impact, and the big thing I talk about a lot in my podcast, the mental, emotional, physical health connection is a very real thing.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up in the space I was, because I wasn't dealing with or handling those things. And I'm still unraveling it and figuring it out. I mean, there's still pieces I'm putting together in the process, but the big thing that I was able to come up with is a framework to guide me through it, that I'm like, this framework has helped me. It's helped family members. And we need to talk about this. My clue to starting this in this, summer of 2021, when I first started my podcast, was we have got to get women talking about these things. We've got to talk about the things that are getting in the way of us living our healthiest, best lives. And the first and foremost, self-care is not selfish. It's self-preservation. And we have to get rid of the notion that prioritizing us and not putting us on the back burner is selfish.
It's important.
It's important. Nobody wins when they get the depleted, irritated, tired, worn down version of us. Nobody wins, but that's not what we're told.
You don't have life force energy.
Yeah.
You don't have creativity. You don't have passion. You don't have all the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, which you said, usually when one wheel falls off, I'm sorry to say, more than one wheel usually falls off. So what that means, and I heard you say, relationships start to be impacted. Financial life starts to be impacted. when I found myself, and I agree with you, because both of us don't want to see women get in that deep, which is why both of
No.
us are here having this
Hmm.
conversation.
Yep.
Because I felt like my car was going down the middle of the road, but when both wheels fell off, I got flipped from one gutter to the other gutter to the other gutter to the other gutter, to the point there was so much that I had to solve
Mhm.
that it kept me from going forward.
Yeah.
It simply, it stopped me in my tracks, and I did not. And the pain of it for me is I had this big vision, as I see you do too, about
Hmm.
where I wanted to go. So
Yeah.
I was all the while cursing the wheels.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's what we do. I mean, and I think we curse the wheels, and in fact, and I talk about this a lot too, is like your emotions and your body is not against you. It is, she is for you, and she is there to alert you when
Mhm.
something needs tending to, and she will get louder if you ignore her
That's
until
correct.
you tend to her. And
Mhm.
so I've really changed that narrative, and I don't believe in good or bad emotions. Emotions are emotions. They're all necessary. They're clues. Now, what we do with them can be problematic or not, but
Uh-huh.
none of them are to be stuffed or ignored. They need to be moved through, processed, acknowledged.
Uh-huh.
They can be uncomfortable versus comfortable,
Mhm.
but they're clues, and they
And
can be
And
power
there's a
tools.
lot to learn in there, because what
Yes.
I learned was that I was living within the mold of the culture that my family had created, my
Yeah.
original family.
Yeah.
And what my therapist pointed out to me was that was not a functional situation, Joan. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, and then she taught me how it wasn't functional. For instance, I was all about making the outside look good.
Yeah.
Okay. Just as long as I showed up beautifully dressed, coiffed, whatever we call it, you know, it was good. And the inside of me was screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
too had to hit the brick wall. Like, I'm a hard nut to crack. I had to hit
Yeah.
that brick wall to bust me wide open, so that I considered another point of view,
Yeah.
because I thought I could engineer it all.
Oh
Well,
yeah. I
guess
mean,
what?
we convince ourselves that we can. I mean, that's the trick that we play, and really society plays, because they celebrate the woman who's balancing all the balls and doing it all, so to speak. But I've told people time and time again, you cannot judge a book by its cover. You never know what someone's story is and what's going on inside there. Because I grew up in a family that was very much appearance was everything.
Me too.
You did not talk about what was going on inside the home, outside the home. I literally, the one time I did that, thinking I was helping, I was in high school, and I reached out to a family friend who was a friend of my dad's. I thought I was helping, and I ended up getting grounded for 2 weeks
Uh-huh.
for talking to this person. And that was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah. And also, no emotions were brought into the conversation.
No, there was not room. I mean, dry it up. If I started to cry at any time in my life when I was a little kid, dry it up. What are you crying about? What are you crying about?
Yeah.
Dry it up. I mean, there was no room for my children's emotions. No.
But
And I, my parents didn't even have the bandwidth to handle their own. So they
yeah,
certainly
I
didn't have
get it.
room for
And
mine.
that's what she pointed out to me, was where I came from, what limited skills I had, how I really needed to develop some of those skills in
Yeah.
order to live a life going forward, because my vision includes joy, prosperity, and
Mm-hmm.
freedom.
Yeah.
I do not want to live in a box. We sometimes say, that it's many women live in a trash compactor. And it
Mm.
could be for the reasons you and I are talking about, and the families we grew up in, or it could be from a family where they just wouldn't let you go and they had to be in your life all the time.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting part. What I discovered in the Heroine's Journey is the plot line is the same, the stories are different.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. The plot line is the same. It is this script that we all hear. And I have talked to women all over the world from all walks of life, ages, countries, ethnicities, spaces. Our scripts were all pretty much the same.
Mhm.
Be nice, be quiet, be kind, Don't put everyone else before you. Putting yourself first is selfish.
Keep your opinion to yourself.
Keep your opinion to yourself. Be cordial. Don't be angry. That's rude.
In other words, shape shift to accommodate that person and deny any authenticity or truth that's trying to come up in your own body.
Yeah. And don't trust your body. Don't trust that, because it's trying to deceive you and throw you off track of the script you've been given.
Just shape shift, we call it.
Yeah.
I love that, because I can just see my whole body shaping around somebody else as I'm trying to contort to be what they want me to be. And that goes too to what you were saying, you know, where your relationships got affected.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in that, you have to say in that relationship, can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
This isn't good for me. Because maybe that person was increasing your anxiety, which was increasing your health problem. You have to take it all, the puzzle all apart, as you did when that guy whispered in your ear. He was an angel, because he gave you an inkling of some different stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lifeline out that had a different recipe.
Yeah. A different tone to it, a different invitation. And that's what the heroine's journey, in our view, is.
Yeah.
You do 1000%. It one way. I often say I got to the top of the ladder, but the ladder was in the wrong building.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, exactly. And we don't ever get to decide where we want the ladder to go. And you know, so many things. So there are things that I did early on that were definitely against the grain. Like I had identified a few. There were a few, and I talk about, you know, my therapist has pointed out, my kids and partner were like, Mom, I want you also celebrate things that you did despite what you were given. There were some things you walked away from. I walked away from a faith space I grew up in that was very not healthy for me or anybody in it, in my opinion. I walked away from, I married somebody completely different than my dad. There are some core things I did early on, because I'm a pretty resilient one myself, but there were all these other things. So I did some big things, but I didn't necessarily pay attention to the other things that got carried along with me and the impact they were having, and piecemeal through time. I mean, this is my third round of therapy, and this is the first time that I have felt completely safe and open to, like, let's figure this out. Because I was, even before that episode happened in the fall of 2019, I had started kind of asking questions like, why do I live with this feeling that the shoe's going to drop all the time?
Yeah.
Why am I always in hypervigilant mode? Why I should feel more joy than I do. Yes. And not just, I mean, I start the day here and then go here. And how can I move out of that? What is getting in the way of that? And I was even watching as our daughters were growing up, they were able to move out of that. They were able to do some things. And I'm like, how do I get a piece of that? What has happened here? And where did I miss that?
So tell our listeners 5 or 6 things lessons you got and tactics you changed.
Yeah. First and foremost, I had to realize that there were some healthy boundaries I needed in my relationships. There were some relationships that were just not operating in a healthy way. And that was not about me. I'd spent years trying to model to these people a better way to live, how to change, how to not function in that way. And my therapist and many people had said this to me before. It took a while for it to get through, that it is not your responsibility to change them. And they may never change, but it is your responsibility to live in a way that's healthy for you, and start paying attention to the impact of your body when you're going to be around them. When you're going,
your responsibility to be an example, because after all, words are only 8%
exactly
of what people learn.
Yeah.
80%, I think, I may be quoting the numbers wrong, is what you're doing. So you are a huge example to them when you actually live out your own life. in a
Exactly.
space of joy, prosperity, and freedom. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it changes. Like, instead of me trying to like get them to change, it became about me in I statements. I can no longer engage in the relationship that involves these things. If these things happen, I'm going to make this decision for my well-being. Do what you need to do, but this is how I need to operate for myself. And it has created and dissolved some relationships. I've had to learn to love some people from afar. But it's been, once I did that and I realized somatically the impact it was having on my body to be in these spaces, it was like, whoa. So it was a big thing. So healthy boundaries was a big thing. Paying attention to the mental, emotional, physical health connection and how those all feed off each other was a big thing. Identifying my why, my values, what is important to me, my expectations, and living out of those rather than the ones that I'm getting from others that I feel like I need to do to make everybody else happy. Right. And then communicating those things. And when people aren't used to you showing up in that way, it may take a little bit for them to get used to it. You may have to repeat it a couple of times, but you find out real quick who's for you. And wants really what's well for you versus those that were just used to benefiting from all that you were giving them out of your own, at your own expense. And
I often say that it's a really interesting experiment when you suddenly stop in a relationship and you realize there's no energy going on the other side. You're putting all the energy in, which is why it's draining you so much.
Yeah.
And you stop. And recently I had a situation where I just said to someone, I stopped and I realized there was no energy on the other side.
Yeah.
So I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just done.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to expend energy where it's not honored and respected. And there's not some reciprocal energy in the relationship. Absolutely. And so that was big. And then really, but for me, what I think it came down to is like, I have to embrace all these parts of me and learn and see their value. I don't have to love them. And I call it layers in my work. I call it embracing your layers. All those pieces, all those parts, those decisions you made when you were 21 that you wish you could take back, or 19 or 18, instead of having like pushing those away and having shame and regret around them, approaching yourself with curiosity rather than judgment. And this was something I got from my therapist. Ted Lasso talks about it too, if you're Ted Lasso fans. But approaching with curiosity how it was I got into that situation, why it was I made those decisions. And then I was able to be like, oh,
now I understand.
I see why I did that. And that makes sense. And I don't love it. And I wish I hadn't, but given all of these scenarios, and that created space for me to be able to accept those layers because we prioritize what we value. And if we don't value something, we won't prioritize it. And that starts with us. We have to value us, our time, who we are. And then really just making sure each day I'm doing something that nourishes me. And I have a menu of things.
Did you sleep more? Did you meditate? Did you
I have
did you put yourself on vitamins? Did you did you develop, let's just call it a plan?
Yes, I did.
Develop a plan that was now a life guidance.
Yeah,
I certainly did. Yeah.
Yes, I did. So that framework I talked about earlier, I'm regularly checking in with myself to see if my values are still aligned with the work that I'm involved in. I'm looking at my calendar to make sure they're aligned with who I am, what I want, and I'm in, and that part is in alignment. And I'll start feeling it physically if it's out of an alignment. And so I pay very close attention to that regularly. I check in with that seasonally. Daily, I'm journaling, and it's just a bleh. Yeah. It's not, but it's also I've got something going on with my health. I'm tracking what's happening. How am I eating? But I've also really paying attention to my macros. I'm tracking my macros now to pay attention. Am I getting enough protein? Am I getting enough water? Am I getting enough fiber? carbs, good fats. I mean, those things. Am I fueling my body in a way that it allows it to operate? Because that also affects your mental and emotional health. I move my body in some way every day. I follow a program that really helps me be accountable. It's called Faster Way. And it gives me different movements to do each day. Some days I'm lifting. Today I'll be doing some Pilates. Yesterday was upper body. I try to walk 6,000 to 10,000 steps every day. These are movement for me is very important. Having a place to just kind of throw up everything on paper is important. I did for a while when everything was starting to come to surface. I was doing verbal journaling for a while where I would just record it in my phone. I got rid of it. I didn't have to play it. It was for me, but it helped me exercise that. When I had some anger that I'd never processed before come to surface, I'll take a pillow and just find a wall outside and just bang the pillow and just let it out, because your body has to release these things that it's been carrying for so long. But daily, it's the movement I've got in my menu for the day. It's making sure I'm fueling myself properly. I'm getting ready to go through a sleep study right now. My sleep has been a mess. So I'm tending to my sleep, because sleep is such a big part of this piece of care that we do. So tending to my sleep, and I have supplements and vitamins that I take every day.
I want to ditto sleep, because that's the number. Who was it? Ariane Huffington.
Yeah.
Said, not to worry, men. As women, we're just going to sleep our way up the ladder. And it was
beautiful.
True. Yeah, because she did she wrote a whole book on sleep and how important it is in our life. And I make sure I get to bed early. I get enough sleep. I love massage. I love meditation, all those things that reinforce that.
Yeah.
Because without it, you're crazy. And for so long, I worked on Wall Street where they taught us to sleep like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah. You're working 80 hours a week on the regular, and then it's celebrated.
Exactly. And then I wondered why in my 20s, I had a body that I couldn't live in.
Yeah, exactly.
Could not live in it. And you had the same issue. Yet at some point, your whole body said, I don't even want you here. Get out.
Yeah, no more. We are done. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up because I think it's really important for women to understand when they're having a hard time. I don't have time is what I hear a lot. I'm like, we're going to help you find time. We're going to get your calendar in alignment with your values and who you are, and get rid of the stuff that's not in alignment anymore. We're going to find the time that already exists for you. But also, I start with name 5 activities that nourish you. What are 5 activities that nourish you? And start there. And if you can only think of 3, great. Where can you implement this into your life? Can this be your self-care for now? To get you started, to get you thinking about it? Because
I'm of the same belief you are, and that's that I tell myself, and we do a lot of reframing in the Heroines Journey book. I tell myself, you have plenty of time for the things you value.
Yes, you do.
Which is absolutely true.
It is.
If I'm not doing it, I say to myself, and I look at my to-do list, I say to myself, I don't value it, so just take it off the list.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any shoulds on my to-do list.
Yes, you got to get rid of the shoulds. The shoulds are our biggest, the shoulds and the need. Do you need it? Is that the right word?
I have on my list what inspires me, what enlivens me, the day I want to live, how I want to live my life for the day. And so therefore my belief is I always have time for the things I value.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. 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 And I think it's just getting people to sit down for 5 minutes, taking the time to be quiet enough, because also people are very uncomfortable at first with the noise because they've pushed it for so long. So it's like, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You got to let the noise come to surface so you can deal with it, so you can allow it the space it needs and make room for the joy and the space to enjoy your life and to have the contentment. And like I said, I am still in process. I am still figuring this out. One of the things I had to accept was that These things had been deep seated in me for 50 years. They were not going to go away overnight.
No.
It was going to take finding things.
I heard somebody recently say the way to start this whole process is to sit quietly for 30 minutes.
Yeah. It'll all come pouring out if you allow yourself to do it.
It will. Because we are nature. We are roses that are meant to bloom.
Yeah.
And everything about is trying to help us bloom.
Mm-hmm.
We get in the way of it.
We do. We do. We absolutely, we get in our own way and we allow other people's expectations and other people's narratives and scripts because we're so afraid of disappointing someone. I'm like, what? And one of the things I've learned to do is like, I'm going to stop disappointing myself.
Exactly. I like that.
You know, you got to stop. And I've heard that I'm stealing that from a lot of different people, wise people that have shared that with me. But yeah, my framework is really about those things I mentioned. I've got 8 talking points. I'm asking myself, have I prioritized my self-care? Have I looked at my mental, physical, emotional health? Am I setting healthy boundaries? Am I showing up unapologetically for myself, which is then allowing me space to show up unapologetically for other women and bring them along with me on this journey? Have I checked in with my why and values lately? Am I living out of my own expectations? And then how is this impacting my relationships? When I talk, my podcast is called the Feel Podcast, Finding Empowerment, Embracing Layers. When I'm living out of feel, what kind of impact am I seeing on my relationship with myself and my relationship with other people? And then what are those activities, 5 activities that nourish me? Am I incorporating them regularly? How do I want to, what are 5 words on how I want to feel the next 6 months?
So give me 5 activities that you love doing and 5 words that you want to feel in the next 6 months.
Okay. 5 activities that nourish me. I love being in the mountains. Mm-hmm. I love being by the ocean. Mm-hmm. I love sitting by my pool. So outdoors, outdoors. I love to travel. And I'm a big sports fan. So I'll be tuning into March Madness this weekend. I'm a big sports fan.
I love rolling around on the floor with my dogs.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
All 8 of them.
Wow. Wow.
I love sitting quietly and meditating for a period of time. I love to be surrounded by beauty. Flowers, you know, just beauty. And I call the beauty, it can be the mountains, the ocean, the whatever, but beauty is very important to me.
Yeah.
I love sitting quietly and hearing my intuition. You know, just that moment when you kind of like, you know that you just gave permission for your authentic truth to speak up.
That permission piece is so huge.
Yeah. So now tell me 5 emotions you want to feel in the next 6 months.
I want to feel prosperous. And when I say prosperous, I'm talking about wholeheartedly prosperous in my health, in my endeavors, in my relationships. I want to feel prosperous. I want to feel hopeful. I want to feel content. I want to feel excited about what I'm getting up to do that day. And I want to feel, what's the next thing I want to feel? Inspired.
I want to get up every morning and be totally surrounded by people I love. And I've weeded out my garden enough so that that's the case. Now I look forward to every encounter. Because that's really important to me. I want to feel what I've said, joy, prosperity, and we talk about prosperity as being everything. And freedom. I want the freedom to make the choices I want to make. And to do that, I want to feel that the wheels are on my cart. And that means the financial wheel means live within your means. The physical wheel means generate your life force energy. The people wheel means just have people around you who you love. And be conscious of the ones that interfere and don't let them take up too much space. And then a very, very important one that we've kind of touched on but haven't named is beliefs. And that's that I totally want to believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I get those moments like, oh my gosh, that's all the chatter we get, I'm too fat, I'm this, blah, 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 blah. I
Yeah.
have a keyboard with a delete button and I say delete because I want to feel totally committed to running my brain in such a fashion that I claim my self-worth.
Mm,
Because when I claim my self-worth, that all adds up to my ability to speak my truth.
yeah. It really does. And it's that power of knowing you have that choice and that option, and that you are trusting yourself. I mean, that trusting yourself piece is so key in getting that back when you've been shoving it down for so many years.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I'm over trying to be what other people need me to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I can be irreverent or, you know, difficult to deal with or whatever, but I'm going to be my true nature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best we can do for ourselves and those that we love, is to show up authentically. And I think about too, my daughters, and if I have grandchildren someday, what am I modeling to them? I had a great conversation with a friend the other day about that, about modeling to her grandchildren this new season that she's in, of embracing who she is and celebrating it and having her own life with them, but also outside of them, that that she's not defined by her roles, but by who she is. And it was like, that's, if we could grasp onto that and accept that as our truth, we can change narratives for women all over the place.
So have you written a book yet?
We did release a book that's based on our first 4 seasons of our podcast, and it takes our talking points and makes them into chapters. And it takes some great nuggets from our guest, because I walk each guest through the talking points that I shared today, and they share their resources, and then we share those resources on our website. So we got multiple people's resources. So
I'll look forward to being on your podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I will be in touch with you next week to get that scheduled, and you'll get to walk through those with me. But yeah, the book is a great way to engage with our talking points personally. It's not just listening to me talk to you about them, but we give ways to engage with each one at the end of each chapter. We give ways to engage each week on our podcast with that person. But the book is great to do as a journaling partner. It's also great to do with other women. I really encourage other women to get our book. It's not very long, and the chapters are short, but it's very intentional. Go through each chapter, go through each talking point that week, and engage with the ways to engage. Hold each other accountable. Do it together in community. You and I are a perfect example. There's room for all of us.
Yes. So
there's
where
room
can
for all
people
of us.
find you?
Go to embracinglayers.com. It's all there. Our podcast is there. How to buy our book is there. If you want to schedule me as a speaker is there. Our resources, we have so many resources there from our guests. And we do a panel show now every Monday on YouTube. The links to that are there. So go to embracinglayers.com. How to follow us on socials, join our Substack. It's all there, embracinglayers.com.
Melissa Crook, thank you so much for being with you.
Thank you so much, Joan.
Conversation. I think you're totally on it, which is life force energy. Like, if you don't have that, you better start there, because that's everything about getting up and moving on and, expressing yourself in the world. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Joan. I've loved this conversation. I love talking to other women who are on this mission with me, and we're all doing it in our unique, authentic way, because we need this. Women need this.
We're on it. We're actually, in my view, this is a big, big, big conversation, because we're completely shifting the views of women around who they need to be.
Yes.
So thank you for being part of that.
Absolutely. That's my honor.
Good enough. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to have you on. This is going to be great. It's great when you can connect with people who are doing this too, and understand the why around it, and why it's so important to bring other women into it. Like, we can do better for ourselves. It doesn't have to be this way.
Let's do it. I'd love to do an offline call with you, not a Zoom call, or
Sure.
it can be a Zoom call, but just you and me, and
Mhm.
talk. I'd love to know more about what you're doing and how you're doing it and all that kind of stuff, and where we
Yeah,
might continue to support each other going forward.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
So
Absolutely.
I'll send you. This is my second book. This is my second book.
Oh,
Woo!
nice.
I can't. Why is it not showing?
Is it the one on your website that I? Yes, there.
There it
Yes.
is. And then my first book is behind me. It was called The Girl Needs Cash.
Oh,
Yeah, so
love that title.
my specialty is really in the financial side, but
Yeah,
I engage women all the way across the board to get them to financial.
absolutely. Because I've had a couple of guests on talking about women still, even to this day, and it's getting better with my daughter's generation, but there's still so many women that don't understand their finances or what to do with them.
Well,
And it,
the thing of it is, and I felt like this when I wrote my first book. I wrote the first book to women about money.
mm,
A Girl Needs Cash. They interviewed me and Susie Orman.
oh, wow.
But I was running a securities firm at the time, which is what I wanted to do because she's never managed money, by the way. She's a
Oh,
tipster.
that's so
She's a tipster, but she
interesting.
doesn't understand how the whole thing fits together. Which is
Wow.
why she'll give you like basic, but she's never managed money. So,
Huh.
but the point of it is that when I wrote that book, I was putting a pink skirt on a pig. And the reason why I say that is that I took the male point of view, which I learned so well when I worked on Wall Street,
Oh, I bet.
and I put a pink skirt on it so women could possibly digest it.
Yeah.
This book, while you will not think it's about money, is instead of going from A to Z, which is the male way, I go from Z to A.
Oh.
And you have to address a woman's whole life before you can talk to her about money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You really do. You have to address what she values, her insecurities, her comfort. I mean, there's so unpack her story and the narrative she's heard about it to even get her to a place where she can engage and think about it confidently, that she could even, that's what I find anyway. And my background's not in money, but just from having these guests on and even just watching the the generations. And like I said, it's getting better. There's much more balance in it in younger ones now. I think our generation is kind of that in between one where we're not as shut off from it as our parents were, or certainly not. There's still too many women I know my age that don't know anything.
There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, there really is. And all the myths around it.
Yeah. Well, I will reach out to you and we'll put a time on our calendars.
That'd be great.
Thanks so much.
All right. So good to talk to you. Bye, Joan.
Bye.